Well, hello, one and all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of What's Up, Bro. I'm Tony, joined with my gracious co host for today, Brother Ouija from the DLSU Vocations Office.
Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone. Welcome again to What's Up, Bro? As Tony introduced, I'm Brother Luigi Enriquez from the Vocations Ministry Office of the De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines. And we're happy to be joined with our brothers also from Mozamis and from Hong Kong. Brother Gino and Brother Dennis are here with us to talk more about how they have been and what's up with them in their respective ministries. Brothers, hello.
Great. Good day. Good day,
Hello.
Brother Gino here. I'm currently assigned in the Zamis. This is my first year in active ministry, and I'm so excited to talk about all these things with all of you today.
And hello from me. I'm brother Dennis or Bro Den. Most of my students call me Bro Den. And I'm here in Hong Kong. I hope my connection is good and I sound great. Uh, okay over that side. And I'm also happy to be part of this group of young brothers. I don't know why they chose me because I'm like 20 years, at least 20 years older than most of them. Okay. Good.
So, with introductions out of the way, you may be wondering what is it that we're going to be getting into today? What's the nitty-gritty of this little podcast? Well, it has been quite a long year, 2020, 2021. A lot has happened, and that's quite the understatement. Though we want to know about how life has changed exactly before, during, and well, maybe after the pandemic. So we're just gonna be going over things like, yes, before the pandemic, how would you two, Brother Gino and Broden, or Brother Dennis, whichever you prefer, before the pandemic, how would you describe your lifestyle or your daily routine overall?
Let's begin with the youngest.
You?
Younger one. Younger one. Go ahead, Gino.
Yes, bro. So basically, before all of this happened, I would categorize myself as a lazy bum. I'm not into physical things. I'm into series. I was into TV series, movies, and all of those. And then, parang if I'm not working, I'm either sleeping or watching. So that's the only two things I would do if I'm not working with the brothers. So walang physical, nothing. It's something I don't like. I don't like getting tired, physically tired. So yeah, that's how life was.
For me, it was a change only because I had to move out of Manila. That was the time when January 2020 when I was finally moving out of Manila to Hong Kong. So then I got stuck here, even though I had some activities back in Manila, but because of COVID, travel was restricted. So if I if I compare my time before January 2020 would be how I what was things, mga things that I've been doing. So let me see. Pretty much actually almost the same. I love playing badminton. I love going out with people and like biking. I like to go out with the brothers because we were the older ones, and so we had to treat young brothers once in a while because they they love to be appreciated for what they were doing. So in school, so that would be my side, and also busy with Binild, of course. A lot of things happening in Binild. Then, of course, later I'll share with you. So, was there any difference? Yes, it was actually pretty much busy because it meant that I played badminton later in the evening because of work during the day. But playing badminton was with some staff and teachers and people who work in Binild. That was a great time. And then on weekends, sometimes biking, but also a lot of things would be doing work in the house because I was also the community director of De La Salle University Brothers community. So busy, yes. And will it did the quarantine make me not so busy? I'll share with you later. That's in another question, maybe.
I also remember before, I can finish one series in a week, parang one season or even two seasons in a span of a very short time. So that was life before. And I think it's totally different now. A lot of things changed since that time.
So I see that our two brothers here were busy in completely different ways. And Brother Gino, may I just say that I relate to that on a spiritual level. There's just something about Netflix, something about binging. But of course, Brother Dennis, it must have been great to be able to really go out, do all those kinds of physical activities. They also really get your blood pumping. But Brother Ouija, so anything you want to add? Anything that
Actually, interesting stories, very different perspectives. But I think it's interesting to know what happened after the quarantine was imposed. No, and of course now Brother Dennis is in Hong Kong. Brother, if I understood you correctly, you were saying that since January you were in Hong Kong and you got basically stuck there until now, or
Oh yes. Actually, I don't want to call it got stuck because I was really assigned here.
oh, that's
I'm when I say got stuck, mean I if I had other things to do in Manila because I had things in my room that were, left behind, and I and brothers had to move out of the house, and so someone had to pack all of these things that I was supposed to get
right.
and bring here to Hong Kong. So it's there. It's there. I don't know where they kept that. Maybe in the storeroom. And then that's what happened. I wanted to go back, and so there's this difference in terms of what we can do here in Hong Kong, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I'll share that with you after. Maybe Gino says something or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but how did the quarantine for both brothers? Though? How did the quarantine change what you were used to doing? Like maybe for brother Gino, what changed after after be, having to stay at home for that amount of time, of course with all the work, and maybe for brother Dennis after the quarantine was imposed, how did your badminton and biking
Mm, yeah.
adventure go? Yeah.
Mm,
You
okay.
know what? Parang at the time, I think March was the first time we imposed
Yes.
lockdown, quarantine here in Manila. I was still in Manila. I was in
Yeah.
Taft. We were supposed to move out of Taft to be assigned elsewhere. I was asked to go to Ozamis, and I was supposed to move in May.
Yeah.
Pero March, April, May, that was such a weird time. We were watching the news. We were grieving all these things that were happening around us. But at the same time, it was a sort of identity crisis because there's no work technically. We're done with the school year. We are about to move to a new community. We're supposed to receive our new assignments, and yet we're stuck in the middle without clear guidance of how to proceed, what to do next. And that start was so hard because am I supposed to enjoy this as watch series? But at the same time, parang, why? Why would I waste such time for that? So parang doon na nagsimula na what am I doing? It's a question of what's next, and we don't even know. We didn't even know at that time anong sunod na mangyayari. So we were waiting until May. I decided to contact this brother and ask where is his old bike. So out of it was just really sabi ko, I want to borrow that bike to bring it in Ozamis to learn because am I supposed to share this already? I didn't know how to ride a bike before because I got traumatized when I was young. But there was a time I was riding it and then I fell and then I never tried it again. So
Mm.
until May, last week of May of 2020. So that changed, that a super big change on my end.
Yeah, yeah. So eventually, Barry, you were able to learn how to ride a bike while
Yes,
still in Manila or already in Ozamis.
I learned in Taft. I was still in Taft when I was watching YouTube videos. Para how do you learn to ride a bike when you're old, something like that.
Okay.
I searched that in YouTube, and then sabi, this one. So he was demonstrating it. I was trying to do it, and then after half, maybe 2 hours of doing it, I was able to make it work. So okay, this is interesting. Pero grabe, even doing the curve, it was so hard. It was a struggle. So and yeah, but it was so exciting. As I said, I'm not physically active, so it was so different at that time.
Yeah, interesting. Your maybe the story in the Zamis and the places that you were able to go. We could ask and talk about that later. But I'm interested about how biking happened with Brother Dennis now in Hong Kong. Are you able to
Oh,
bike there, or maybe
yeah.
because of the quarantine and even
All right.
the situation there as well?
Correct. Vijay, thank you so much. Because there's a connection between Gino and my bike. I left. You don't know this. I had a bike in the Philippines. Actually, I had an older bike, but since I was leaving, I had to give it away and give it to someone. So I said, oh, maybe one lucky brother. It was a specialized bike, so it's so nice. Specialized dual suspension. So a mountain bike. So I gave it to brother JJ, and he brought it to Ozami. And actually, brother Gino and brother JJ are now biking together, and I'm happy that he's using it because brother JJ was not using it when he was in Lipa. Not so much, but I think now in Uzamis they're using it. In fact, I'm so afraid of them because they always post their routes, and one day they'll be kidnapped. They keep on posting where they pass by.
That's
Because
a,
it's in the internet. You see, oh, so every Sunday the brothers pass by here. I'll kidnap them and get some
yeah,
money from them. Anyway,
Although you're giving them an
the
idea.
thing.
a
All
classic.
right. So now, do I bike? So what I did was, of course, I cannot not bike here, and first we rent bikes here. It's my first time because you can rent bikes. Most people in Hong Kong rent their bikes because their houses or flats are small. So they just rent, and there's a lot of good routes in terms of easy routes. In fact, when you bike here, there are children biking with two wheels, three wheels at the back. Actually, the little two one, and even adults. There's no like people look down on you because you're like, oh, you're so big already, and you're okay. No, it's okay here. Now, the difference is then because I did feel like I didn't like to rent the bikes because they weren't really that good. So we bought bikes in the community. We have three bikes now in our community, and we use it for the brothers here use it when we go biking up the mountains. We did the mountain biking already. Now, why are we able to do this? Because quarantine in Hong Kong or restrictions is not as strict as Manila. Right? If I want to go out now and bike, it's okay. Just wear your mask. And if you are biking, actually, and if you are in an open space, you remove your mask. Nothing. They don't really mind. So biking and hiking. So those two things that I do, they all rhyme now, biking and hiking. It's the same thing that happened. Well, then that's the big difference for me. So Gino says he learned how to bike. Me, I hiked more than I bike now, but I hike because there are so many places you can go to in Hong Kong. Not just hiking around Mongkok to buy sneakers that most brothers do, and other. So we hike mountains there and islands. There are so many islands to go to.
Oh, well, it's great to see that you guys still had the chance to go on all these sorts of adventures, despite the circumstance. And, well, thing is, unfortunately, not everyone could really go on all those amazing kinds of adventures. And I'm sure that you guys had days where it wasn't exactly the safest to go outside. Though, so aside from the very exciting activities that you guys had, what other little activities help you guys pass the time?
Okay, I'll begin first. Okay, it doesn't mean that because of the quarantine we're not doing anything in school. A little bit in school. I did watch, of course, some Korean Netflix movie because of Startup, Crash Landing on You, and whatever those things. And just I didn't watch that scary. I forgot what it was, but it has to do with zombie, the Korean zombie thing. I forgot that was one of
Kingdom.
the. Again, what was that?
Yeah, this
Kingdom.
bro, Kingdom, I think.
Kingdom.
Yeah, Kingdom. I didn't watch that because that's the first. That was the first month of COVID here, and it felt like this sound. It looked like COVID experience for me.
Oh
So
yeah.
I stopped it. So I only watched the first two, the first two episodes, and stopped, and then watch another thing, and I haven't gone back. So watch that. But the other thing is because I was, I knew that teachers needed help. So I actually started some with a group of friends and office to start a live ed, which we taught teachers who were just transitioning to education to simple skills on audio, video making, storytelling, and that's what we did on almost on a monthly basis. I co-organized that one online in the Philippines, even though I was in Hong Kong. And then also, not too many brothers know this, that I also teach. I also taught in Binil Dantipolo educational technology for one term, and now I'm teaching an educational technology in DLSU. So I'm a professor in DLSU right now, and I teach teachers again or would-be teachers how to use technology in their class, which I think is most needed now. So I try to put that together as part of my work. Aside from visiting the schools here, we have two-thirds of our students present, but I have no regular load in school because I'm preparing to help out in the all the eight LaSalle schools here in Hong Kong. So I cannot be assigned in one particular school.
Right. Interesting, bro.
Seems you really do get around. Though before we get into the, I would say, the juicier, well, not really juicier, but the deeper parts of the conversation about how life is during the pandemic, let's just take a bit of a short break, especially to give the audience a bit of time to just grab a drink, maybe make yourselves more comfortable. The Industrial Management Engineering Society of De La Salle University proudly presents to you IE Week 2021. The organization aims to provide professional development through a holistic curriculum that is integrated by its direct support for academic activities and its own extracurricular academic activities, advocate ethics by example by providing a channel for IE students to imbibe sound Christian values and ethics in all its organizational activities through a healthy relationship of adherence and respect for righteous authority, and teach leadership training by making available opportunities for the development of its members through active involvement of all of its members, whether they are officers or otherwise. The IE Week was established in order to strengthen bonds by providing an opportunity to choose and join the different events that are exhibited in the week long festivity. This caters to not just the students. The members of the organizations and personnel are invited to engage and interact with the other participants as well. Take a hand and join us as we dig deeper in establishing relationships, especially in these trying times when connecting with others through a screen may seem difficult. Let us defy this and prove that the human spirit knows no bounds. Let us gather in communion for the purpose of strengthening our bonds, widening our networks, and being able to relieve ourselves from all the academic stress. In line with this, we would like to invite you to take part and participate in the week long celebration alongside the different individuals of the IE community. And we're back. We are here to go into the second, more insightful part of the topic, which is about, well, keeping in touch, especially for brother Dennis, who's just far away, and that's quite the understatement. So, how have you guys been keeping in touch with family and friends? Personal time is great, but of course, family and friends are just as important. So, how have you been keeping touch with them during the pandemic?
Okay, so my brothers are all the boys. We're five in the family. There are three boys and two girls. The three boys, all of us, are out of the country. One is in the U.S. in California, and one is in Canada with their family. And then my sisters, both are in Bacolod. So it's like yes, Facebook keeps us connected, and once in a while we talk to each other there. We talk about our vaccination and that stuff. We greet each other there. So actually it's more often that we talk to each other now, uh, online, because we have more time, because you don't have to go to school to attend school or to do your work in school. I guess that's the good thing that has happened. And I know that my brothers are also, and my brothers and sisters, though, I think that the most difficult part is really about making sure that everyone is safe. When we talk about it, we always think about, so have you gotten your vaccination? Or is somebody sick in the house or in the family or around you? Make sure you're safe. And then, of course, our friends, we go to our friends. So maybe the most difficult part is, I think this is would sound like a future question from you, but I'm already thinking about the reflection of some people where this the most number of posts and during a week where they talk about death or people getting sick or death, and where they have to send sympathies and that stuff. So that's probably one thing I don't want to do for my family, to hear from my family or feel close to me. But it's getting, especially for the Philippines. Here in Hong Kong, well, we only have 8 cases a day or 3 or 4 cases. So it's that's why we're freer to do things here, and freer to also do your outreach. We do some outreach with some students, and do some work in maybe preparing it for meetings that talk about our mission and that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I had more time with my family this time.
Yeah, interesting, brother, with what you've shared about connecting with families, and
Mhm.
we also see a lot of with the rise of the many different platforms that are available online, right? And as you shared,
Mhm.
you're using Facebook to be able to connect with your brothers and sisters, no? And I'd like
Mhm.
to ask also, brother Gino, how have you been connecting with your family members as well?
We are a family of, a lot of my family are not in the Philippines. Parang siguro 90% of us are in Italy. All of them are based in Milan, Italy. So in terms of connecting, we're used to this. In terms of not seeing each other physically, I've been used to this since I was a child. I was born in Italy, then I was brought back here in the Philippines. So over the past 25 years, I've been coming over, or they will come over. So we just see each other physically at least once a year. So basically, we know how it works. We know how parang we transition from phone calls to video calls. So I totally understand and I totally get how it works. So hindi siya bago sa akin on that end. What changed is that before we get to see each other at least once a year, and that has not happened yet. At least my mom, I haven't seen her since December 2019. So more than a year na since the last time I've seen her. So nung una, that was a scary part, the beginning of COVID, kasi at least March. Kasi at that time, the cases in Italy was really rising. It was the new epicenter at that time. So I had a panic because 90% of my family members, relatives are there. So I was scared for their safety. But because of I'm grateful because there's internet. I get to check on them on a daily basis. Sometimes even my mom would call any time of the day. And since we're online classes, so wala akong reason not to answer. So I have all the time to answer also. Parang I could give her 5 minutes of my time any time of the day. Yun. So um, But this pandemic allowed me as well to connect and communicate with people na alam mo yun, you would usually sideline because anyway,
Yeah.
I'll see these people naman anytime soon. But that is not the reality now. So you get that opportunity now na to connect with people na binabaliwala mo lang before. Kasi anyway, it's just online.
Right, right. So parang the what I could sense no from both of your situations is that really this time like it became more intentional for all of us. I would agree with what you said. So I'm sure my mom will watch this. So maybe after watching this episode, my mom would call me because sometimes I'm guilty about this. Sometimes it's difficult to uh just take a phone call while you're working or whatever. So but yeah, the intentionality of connecting with other people and what we've talked about earlier, coping up with this whole quarantine lifestyle that we hope would end. But at the same time, as brothers, no, it's always I at least this is how I understand it. Our experiences always point us to how we also um, engage with the young people who are with us and with your experiences both in lifestyle and with your relationships and generally this whole quarantine, how does that help you engage with the young people in the schools for brother Dennis or maybe in the classroom for brother Gino in this online setup?
I'll
Okay.
start.
Eh,
Siguro,
Go ahead, Gino. Gino, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Gino.
kasi in Ozamis, here in Ozamis, parang na-pick up ng mga tao yung biking. So from the young ones to the old ones, you would see a lot of people biking every day, not just during weekends. But as brother Dennis was mentioning earlier, the brothers would usually bike on the weekend, and we also post our itinerary. But anyway, so sometimes I would see my students whom I haven't met personally, who I will just see during online classes. Sometimes they don't even turn on their cameras. So I have no idea of how they look like or who they are, basically. But sometimes we would just be in one place and then someone will call you out, brother, brother. And then I would look, sabi ko, who's this again? And then this is my student in this class. And then we would share stories. And so you would, I've seen a lot of my students not inside the school, literally not inside the school. I've seen them outside. I've seen them in all the routes we've been to because we usually bike around the province. So ayun, so that's one thing. So somehow I get to understand the importance of physical activity at this time when it's all sitting down and facing your laptop. I think it became a thing for everyone to do something physical aside from just sitting down and doing your work on a work from home basis. And also, on the other end, it has allowed me to connect to them better in a way that we have a common sort of passion in terms of kasi if my lifestyle before was still in place, I can only share to them a series I've watched. But this time,
Yeah.
I can talk about, oh, have you been to this trail? Have you been to this place? And all of that. So somehow, I'm happy that I have that kind of connection now with my students.
Right. Thanks, Brother Gino. And interestingly, connecting with young people, I'd like to hear and I'd like to ask Brother Dennis, how did that go for you? Now that you're in a different place. So
Yes, of course. Okay. I don't have my own students here in Hong Kong, but I consider them as students, my students in some way because I also observe classes once in a while. They're more like stricter here because you don't go out with students or you don't see them outside because they all are from Hong Kong may be small, but they're far away from me. And of course, I don't actually some students I don't know how they look too because they are all wearing masks in school, and I don't have an online class with them. But some students do know me, so when I visit the school, even without the robe, they say hi to me. But they're in one school, for example, but they don't converse much in English, so they're kind of shy once in a while. But with other students that I know, my former students, Gino and Luigi, you'll have your own 20 or 25 years from now. They will call on you. So I actually give retreat to some students. I had two batches of retreats, online retreat for them, and I gave retreats to on Easter or Lenten retreat to many supervised schools. So that is like my form of connecting, but it was more of the adults. So they, for me, because I'm older, they feel like my students. That's the, those are my students. So they may be older, but they're like students for me because I go and teach them or have them in my class of online recollection, which is about an hour and a half. That's how. I think that's why it's meaningful for me because some people just sort of like, oh, there's no more way you can do recollections. And then I said, why can you not do an online recollection? Why can you not bring them into a reflection? So I have my own modules of recollections that I use a lot of YouTube connections, videos, sorry, and then some points to share, some reflections, and then it's just enough for you to stop to have a timeout. When we had this timeout, when Tony said, let's have a timeout. It's almost like what happens in my retreat. We have my recollection. We go for a timeout from work in school, and then they settle, and then they think about what they have learned during. Your questions actually is the same question I have for my retreat. So we're actually having a recollection now. The two of us, Gino and I, are the retreatants. So Father Tony and Brother Luigi, thank you for allowing us to reflect on life at this time. What we're answering exactly the same questions I was asking some of the teacher. I just didn't tell you because it because but it's that one. You, Gina, and I had to think about this, and it's a time for us to reflect. So,
Well, it was a pleasure to be of service. We're glad that you guys got a lot out of it. But of course, we will be having an audience and they will most likely need or want a bit of a takeaway from all of the great insights that we've gone over today. So I just want to ask Brother Gino and Brother Dennis, do you guys have any tips or words of advice for those trying to pick up new hobbies or for those just trying to make it through the pandemic?
On my end, I've learned two things throughout the pandemic, or relearned or um, strengthened my skills, my sort of skill. I've learned biking, and then the other one is badminton. But I'm not good. I'm not good at it. But that's the problem. But all this time, I would always hesitate to do all of these things because I feel like I'm not good at this, or I will look stupid, or I won't look good, basically, when I do this, because I don't have enough skills to do all of this. But I realized that's where you start. That's where everyone starts, in the bottom, in a sense, in the bottom. And I realized from there, you progress every day. I've seen myself. Before I cannot do a particular shot, or I cannot run after the shuttlecock. All of those, and now I'm enjoying it. My body looks for it. Not because gumaling ako as in no, but it's just that every day is a progress, and I see that way. So for those who are trying to do something, stop shaming yourself in terms of how you will look at the beginning. It's okay. I would usually watch YouTube videos for both for badminton and for biking. And from there, I'll try it physically when no one is looking, and then I'll try it again when someone is there. And then from there, parang there's progression, and appreciate yourself, appreciate the things you've done, the things you've accomplished, regardless of how small it is. So those are the motivations na ginagawa ko every day, so that I'll get to do it more the following day. So
okay, for me, just connecting with Gino again. Very nice. In 30 minutes time, I'll be playing badminton. That's why I asked you to move the. I asked you to move it to move the time 30 minutes earlier because that's our time for badminton here. We play with the teachers, some teachers here, and we are sort of like the level of class B, and we really hit each other hard. But at the same time, there are newbies, and we teach them how to play also. So if Gene, if you're here, you're gonna learn, and you will be given time to play and learn at the same time. And we do this every Tuesday. And then also, just to let you know that maybe if there were things that I did really know more about this time is I mix two things. I bike, but I also do bird watching now and shooting the birds, pictures of the birds. So I tried to mix it. I called it bike bird watching or something like that. You bike to the place where you will watch the birds. So para hindi sayang, kung magagawa mo na yung dalawang bagay. I'm like I want to optimize my hour time because I love doing many things. So I bike, I play badminton, and on Saturdays I play basketball here at the park. We have from 4 to 8, sometimes in the evening, from 4 to 8. So we're really very active here and playing basketball. There's like 8 of us playing and a lot of people in the park. You wear your mask only after you're finished with the game, but you so I got hit one time in my head here, but last week I still have a bump here. I got hit by a wayward elbow. Anyway, so that if there's one thing I miss though, and I have not been doing, is I miss my skateboard there intact. It's still there. I wasn't able to bring it here. So my longboard, because I see long people doing some longboards here. I want to go back to that because I used to be afraid of riding the longboard because of balance. But now it's easy for me to do that. So it's one thing that I want as a form of transport here because it's pretty much safe to do things like that here. So that's it. There are things that I do miss and things that I learned here a lot. Many more things that I learned here in Hong Kong.
Well, thank you so much for the tips. I'm sure that those of us watching or those of you watching will definitely get a lot and hopefully get something done while the pandemic is still very much a thing. Now, as great as this entire time was, you guys have been absolutely amazing. This is all the time that we have for today, unfortunately. But don't worry because the What's Up Bro podcast series will definitely be back. You can check them out on our many social media links for Green Giant FM. So on Facebook, that is facebook.com/Green Giant FM. We also have our Twitter, which is at Green Giant FM. If you want to see a few images or a bunch of pretty faces from the org and from our guests, that is Instagram, which is at greengiant.fm. And we do have a website, which is www.greengiantfm.com. And before we really wrap things up, Brother Luigi, anything you want to say?
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Thank you, brothers, for being here with us, for sharing a lot of your insights. No, while listening to you, I also learned a lot about really as we go through this whole pandemic as a global community. It's really a time for us, number one, to be together, to intentionally be together online, and try our best to take care of ourselves, improve on ourselves. At the same time, to go through things together, right? With all the skills that you've shared and the new things that you've learned, I realized that yes, it's a difficult time, but it's also a time for growth, as what we all experience, no? And growth, of course, takes a lot of struggle with us. And as you move along your ministries, brothers, we wish you all the best from all your brothers here in the Philippines. And for all of those of you who are watching or listening to our What's Up Bro episode about the quarantine, you may also catch our brothers, Brother Jeano, Brother Dennis, and all your brothers from the Philippines by following us on Instagram and Twitter. That's at DLS Brothers PH. Or you may visit our Facebook and YouTube channel and Facebook page at the De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines. And of course, for those of you who might be interested to know more about our life in a more intimate setup, send us an email at vocations@delasalle.ph and we'll keep our conversations going there. So again, thank you very much for being with all of us here in What's Up Bro in collaboration with the DLS New Green Giant FM and Vocations Ministry Office of De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines.
And with all of that said, thank you so much to our gracious guests, Brother Dennis and Brother Jeano, and my amazing co-host, Brother Luigi. This has been Tony on the What's Up Bro podcast, and we hope that you guys have a good one.